if someone asks me, I want you to pick the time and the place and the antenna and make the best DX contact you could make, it would be this antenna right here.
Welcome again, gang, to Ham Radio Perspectives. And here we are with none other than Walt Hudson, who's the author of a fantastic new book. Right up front, we're going to show you a copy of this book because we are super duper big fans of this book. And there it is, Salty Walt's Portable Antenna Sketchbook. It's got some of his real sketches in there, but also photos of the real thing installed. It's fantastic. So we're going to run through this with Walt. Walt, you're on here with myself, Quinn, K8QS. We got Tom, WA9TDD. And Walt, there's your call on the book, but go ahead and give it for us.
Yeah, it's K4OGO, and here in the southeastern corner of Virginia right now. That's what I call home.
Yeah, and you can see the boats out back there. You love the salt water, and they call you Salty, and you've been all over. A little secret about this book, gang. If you're into POTA, if you're into soda, not the drinking kind, going out on the summits, although you might drink there too. If you're into putting up antennas and building your own wire antennas in the backyard or the front yard to bother the neighbors, whatever it is, this is the book for you, the Portable Antenna Sketchbook, because you can make these antennas based on what's in the book. Everything is explained. The illustrations are fantastic. So we're going to go through this with Walt, so show you some examples from the book. So, Tom, you've had a little bit of time with it now, too. What do you think of the book?
Yeah, well, Walt is the portable antenna wizard, and he's created all types of portable HF antennas and deployed them everywhere from Virginia to Hawaii. He's got kind of the ham radio Jimmy Buffett vibe going on there.
We say, I actually say in the book, if you're looking for the symphonic Mozart book of antennas, this isn't that book. Yeah. This is the Jimmy Buffett book of antennas. It really is. Let's
absolutely
off a wire and have fun, you know.
You got it. You nailed it, man. It's fantastic. In fact, the book even has some information about food. Figure that one out.
Well, you know, when you get off the beach, and like I do, or anywhere near it, and you're having some fun, you got to have some good food. The Coast Guard's flying over me right now. If you hear a helicopter here, I was just talking a minute ago. It was the Navy before we got started, and now the Coast Guard. So I'm actually in the harbor, the Norfolk Harbor right now. I live across the street. I'm sitting here in my marina across the street from us, which it kind of inspires me to go eat. Because at the end of the pier down here, it's in the book. It's called Fish and Slips here in Portsmouth, Virginia. It's one of my favorite places to eat. I'm just really into seafood. I mean, I grew up on it. I have never lived more than, a quarter of a mile from saltwater my entire life. So it's kind of who I am.
Yeah, you've got a great tan there because of it too. We can tell.
I was on the beach yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, right. Okay, Tom, what do you want to talk about with this book?
Well, I think we need to verify or confirm that Walt has done a great service on writing and illustrating his new book, How to Make 14 Different Low-Cost Antennas for Quick and Easy Deployment on the surf or turf or in the park or
anywhere.
Anywhere.
It's actually more than 14 because you can mix and match them.
And there's more things. than four.
I mentioned some of the chapters in there. Take, for instance, the random wire antennas. I give a lot of different lengths, different ways to build those type of antennas, both vertically and horizontal or sloping or what have you. You know, I kind of get, everyone says, I don't know if I want to buy this book because it's just for guys that go to the beach and operate. But what you don't understand is a lot of the antennas in this book, all of them will work anywhere. I mean, you just get the boost from being by the water. But I also spent a little over 2 years in Poland, working in Poland with using an SP call under the CEPT agreement, and a lot of, especially the verticals and stuff in the back of the book. are antennas I built and experimented with while I was in Poland. Along with, I had this big backyard where I lived at in Poland. I built just about every one of the verticals there too, just to do it away from the from the ocean and the saltwater effect as well. So although I'm salty, Walt, it's got kind of a nautical seaside flair to it. This book is for everybody.
It really is.
So before we introduce the antennas, Walt, what sparked your interest with portable operation and eventually led to your making these antennas?
I will tell you, it started very, very young. When I was, it was my 8th birthday. So that would have been, well, I'm old. That would have been 1970. For my 8th birthday, I got a Panasonic AM radio. And I had a tough life. My life was just horrible for me when I was 8 years old. We lived on the beach. So my front yard was the beach. And it's a tough life, but someone had to live it. So I got the radio. I was 8 years old, and I would go up in my room at night and go to bed and sneak the radio out, when I'm not supposed to be listening to it. It started, I really was into AM broadcast radio and listening from an early age, and from where I was at here, basically right out in the harbor here, I'd tune in. And you guys are, I think you guys are from the Midwest. I mean, from where I was at, I could listen to the Whoa up in Fort Wayne and listen to the Comets play hockey. And I was just everything. Even back then, I could get Bermuda and Bahamas or whatever here on the East Coast on AM radio. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. But then my grandparents were farmers. So in the summer times, I got sent well inland in central North Carolina to go stay on the farm with my grandparents for a couple months every summer when school was out. Took the radio with me. I was like, I could get like WSM in Nashville and some of the BT in Charlotte, some of these stations, but I'm not hearing Bermuda anymore. And I'm not hearing all these other great stations. I get back home, boom, it happens again. And I think something clicked right then when I was like 8, 9 years old, is like being close to the water right here, something's going on. As life goes on, I became a shortwave listener, and then CBeer and then a ham or whatever, kind of, found out that, it was something about being next to salt water that improved the signal. So when I finally, as a ham, I just love that fact. I mean, it's something, the antenna books themselves, to me, the antennas are just tools. My real love is we can call it geophysics or whatever, but is the surface of the earth and what's happening when a radio wave hits it. You know what I mean? And the antenna is either receiving or sending my signal out to do that. There's so much research on propagation that's just the ionosphere. It's all about the ionosphere. But I have for years tried to research, study, find out more about the ocean itself. And it's kind of weird. You don't find a whole lot of radio and text, and even with, ham radio or whatever, you'll just get you get a 10 dB kick. That's all you get. But what's really going on? So I like to go to different beaches and see what the difference is. I know water temperature, I've kind of experienced that, locations and stuff like that. And I've worked as an engineer. I'm a structural engineer. That's what started my whole sketching thing. Was I started as a draftsman while I was going across the river here. I went to Old Dominion University here, and I started as a draftsman, went through an apprenticeship, was hands-on, building ships. I worked in shipbuilding, building ships while I was going to school at night. And it got me in the mindset of, I like to build, I like to sketch, I like to make things that way. And then when I got my degree and I started working in engineering, I realized that I really didn't like being the stuffy guy that's, sitting at a desk or whatever. So throughout my career, I've been kind of the liaison or the field engineer. I go out there with the guys building. I'm sorry if this is rambling a little bit, but what I would do is having built ships and now being the guy that's doing the engineering and the design, I'd go out there and interface with them. So one of the things as a ham I like to do is like sketch these things up and put them out there. I started by throwing them out on social media and doing it that way. But getting back to what my portable thing was, is I was very fortunate that I'd always travel with companies that I work for. to different shipyards around the world and was able to carry a little radio with me and go to different beaches and do it as well. So that kind of all came full circle with my sketches, my love for portable radio, my love for being by the water with portable radio, portable ham radio. And that's a little long-winded, but that's my story.
Great story. So let's take a look at a few of these antennas, starting with the vertical end-fed half wave.
This one happens to be one of my favorites. It's funny, I just purchased a new 49-to-1 that can handle 100 watts. I just purchased it yesterday, as a matter of fact, because
this
is
a
the antenna.
49-to-1 Balun.
49-to-1, yes. If someone asks me, I want you to pick the time and the place and the antenna and make the best DX contact you could make, it would be this antenna right here. It really would, because I've had some incredible success with this. And the cool thing about this is that it's probably stretched. It's probably the outer boundary of what you can do with a vertical antenna. But I have used this antenna here on the beach on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And with 5 watts QRP, I'm 5'7", 5'8" into VK land all day long. I get up early in the morning. I'll do this on a weekend, catch the Southern Cross net on 20 meters and use this antenna. I hate to say that any one of them is my favorite antenna, but if someone said I need the big bazooka, the DX monster, the one that's going to get me the farthest, I think it's this antenna right here. I'd have to say that.
Continuing commenting on the overall look of the book, I like the page layout with the grid lines. They like in the spirit of the Forrest Mims mini engineering books, if you recall those.
I do. And what's funny is what you see with the sketches themselves, they were all hand drawn by me on a piece of graph paper. That's what, what you're looking at there.
You've got some well-defined illustrations and accompanying location photos that makes everything very clear. And in the book, do you treat all your antenna descriptions like this?
Yeah, I this all started out with me, even before my YouTube channel started. I would sketch these things and put them on my Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And as I moved over and started a YouTube channel, people were like, man, you need to put all those sketches in a book. You really do.
Here's from the back of the book. And this is a list of the antennas that they say are in the book. But again, it's a mix and match thing, and you can do other antennas as well. Quarter wave vertical, halfway verticals, vertical dipole. We're going to look at that in just a minute, because that's an interesting thing. How do you do a vertical dipole when the coax should come out from the side?
Yeah.
17.5 vertical random wire vertical antennas, the Coastal 20. That's a secret. We're not going to tell you. You have to buy the book. An end-fed vertical made with a Slinky. Notice the registered trademark there, Slinky. Yeah, gang. We grew up with these, and we are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the off-center fed vertical dipole, of course, 5/8 wave. Some of you are familiar with that from VHF, UHF. Coils, whips, other verticals, traditional dipole, end-fed wire antennas, the Delta loop. Tom's especially interested in that, so we're going to take a look at that too. And then the vertical square loop. So those are some of them that we are going to take a look at. Let's start, secondly, anyway, with this one, the vertical dipole. Doggone it. How do you do that thing, Walt?
I use the vertical dipole is pretty much a 10-meter antenna. I've done them for 12 and 15, but the 10-meter version is probably the best. What I do is I use a 10-meter DX Commander pole, put it up. I tape it. I cut the 2 elements. I tape them to the pole. I tape a one-to-one Balun to the pole. And what I typically do with that is I get a flagpole holder that you can use for camping or whatever, and I run my front tire on it, stick the antenna up, and with the coax I let it kind of go up and over the back of my Jeep, and just get up and go that way. I've made them on land too, and you kind of get that angled down version of with the coax. But with the Ballon, the one-to-one Ballon, it kind of helps. It kind of chokes a little bit of that RF off at the feed point, and it really, I haven't seen much of a problem with, with interaction with that lower, lower element. But I've had some great success with this antenna, and it works well. I mean, right now we're at the peak of 20 solar cycle 25, so this is an antenna. If you're a 10-meter guy, this is a great antenna for that. What's funny is my channel, I actually built this antenna for 11 meters and was 100% legal. Just used, a FCC approved SSB, 12 watt PEP antenna, radio, hooked it up for 11 meters. And man, you want to talk about an amazing performance. It was great for that as well. So it's a fun antenna. Is it an easy antenna to build? Maybe, but if you've got the time to cut the wires, tape it to the pole, put it up, it's fun to play with.
All right, here we go with the Slinky.
Yeah, I love the Slinky. Now, the trick to this and the secret is to not get the regular Slinky, get the giant Slinky. It's made by the same company. It's just a little bit bigger. You can get more up in the air. 9-to-1 at the bottom. And throw some counterpoise of your choice underneath it. And the other absolute must for this is you got to have an antenna tuner. You know what I mean? It's this thing has it's definitely something that you just don't throw up, hook a radio up to it and play with it. This one takes some tinkering. What's funny is if you can pull and move the Slinky up and down, if you got an antenna analyzer, and you can almost tune it that way. But I like to get it close, get it somewhere between, around 3-to-1 or whatever, and just hit the ATU button, and it, works well. I've had some fun with that one as well, especially as a vertical. A lot of people build these, like you hear about the Slinky dipoles that people have up in the attics of their home. I wanted to try it with with a vertical and a pole, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Having on the beach, I mean, of course I have the beach helping, the saltwater helping me, but I've worked some pretty good DX with this thing as well.
So you probably should mention that you should not get the plastic version of the Slinky.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, that's never worked that well anyway. So one of my favorite antennas, and I've got one right out the window here for HF. I use it on 80 through 6 meters, is the off-center fed or OCF antenna. Right. Normally they feed those so it's 1/3 on one side and 2/3 on the other, and the coax comes in at that point. So right. What are you doing here with the vertical OCF?
Well, the thing about the vertical OCF, and I get this question all the time, why even bother building it for one band? It's really the beauty of an OCF is that you're turning a dipole into a multi-band antenna. Not thinking that way with this one. The thing about this, I built this for 10, 12, 15 as well, is that the 2/3, now you're lowering the takeoff angle of the wire. So with the 15, you can build one for 15 and use it on 10 with the tuner, possibly even use it on 12. But the whole idea with me in the vertical OCF is for work DX and to lower the takeoff angle of the radiating element itself. So that's why I did it, and I experimented with it. And wow, I mean, I know I've built that, like I said, the same way, putting it up, I can get back in the Jeep here after I put it up. And with the one I built an OCF for 10 meters, and man, I worked South Africa, New Zealand, all over with that on 10 meters, just sitting in my Jeep with a 20-watt radio and that antenna, not by the ocean. I mean, one of my things I like to do with antennas like this is drive up to the top of a parking garage, throw that thing up, and play with it. It's a fun antenna. Is it an everyday antenna? Is it a multi-band antenna? No, it's not. But and some of the antennas in this book are not that antenna. The whole idea is antennas like this in the book is to get you out and cut wires and experiment. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can read my book and every antenna book there is, but unless you go out and cut a wire and try it and see what it's like, I mean, you don't really get the true in-depth feeling. Oh, that, you kind of become one with RF, if you know what I mean. You kind of, okay, I know what this will do, and but that's the idea of the vertical OCF, because now we're, like you said, a third and 2/3. We're talking a 2/3 long wire compared to a quarter wave wire. You're getting more and lower on the takeoff angle, and you've really turned what I turned that one we just looked at before, that vertical dipole. Now we've lowered the takeoff angle and turned that into more of a DX antenna.
And the more bands you try to do it for, the more trouble you get into.
Right.
Even with the tuner, you have to be careful. The OCF I have out here, which runs from 80 to 6, I cannot use on 15 meters. That's kind of ironic. But the SWR is so out of hand there that I don't even try. And actually that's typical with the OCFs. If you cut them for the lowest frequency of about 80 meters, typically they won't be that great on 15, that one band. So here you have one that's dedicated to 15.
Right. Here's Tom. I heard saying you're a Delta Loop guy. I did this one a little different. So everybody's got the Delta Loop, and you talk about vertical versus horizontal and that type of thing. I had an idea to do something a little different. This one is I twisted it. So I basically, the Delta Loop, the vertical side, if you look at where the 4-to-1's at, above that 4-to-1 is a quarter wavelength for 10-meter band. And then below it's the rest for that third of the wire. And the other two lengths are, complete the full wavelength for this one for 10 meters. What I found using this one is with 2 poles, I could take that back pole that had the back apex in the back of it and move it around. I could just take, whatever I wanted to spike it into the ground with, move it around, and I could aim this thing. I lacked Alaska to have my worked all states. And what's funny, I made this antenna almost to get Alaska. I needed Vermont, which I just got yesterday, and Alaska. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go see if I can work Alaska with this. 10 meters was wide open. I looked on a spot, saw there was a guy in Alaska. So I aimed it by taking the back and basically making it, in line with Alaska. And what was really funny is, like, I think it was the second contact I made was, and once again, with just 20 watts, was a great contact into Alaska. So it's kind of like having being able to make a Delta Loop directional by taking that back pole, in 360, you can spin it around and do it that way. So really had a lot of fun with that antenna. It's something I wish I could. I did buy a bigger pole. I've got a 41-foot pole, but man, that thing is a bear to mess with. I think what I've got here for 10 meters is about as big as you're going to make it to really have some fun with it.
Right. I like Delta Loops because they're so quiet on the receive end. And
they are.
I've built Delta Loops, and I've thought, wait, wouldn't it be nice to be able to rotate this? And then I look at your drawing, I go, well, this is super simple, stupid. Just tie off one end and walk it around. You can't use a rotator.
You could
with
do
it,
this
but,
a different way. If you could get the top up into a tree somewhere, maybe hang a weight on the bottom and then take one pole and move it around. You could do it that way too. There's ideas.
Right. I'm looking at this thing. So that's such a simple solution.
Yeah, that was a fun antenna. That really was. And I just like you said, this is an antenna I built from necessity. I couldn't find enough information on it to do it that way. So I said, to heck with it. I sketched it up and just built it myself.
Right.
That's wonderful. Now, Walt, you must have had something really funny or disastrous that's happened along the way with you on these antennas. The story that you need to tell.
Yeah, I think one of the worst, most disastrous ones is I was on the beach, a beach here called Sandbridge. I think it was a Ribicoff antenna, which is in the book, a 25-foot vertical with a 4-to-1 at the bottom, vertical antenna. It was on the beach, and this was a lesson learned a couple years ago. I didn't check the tide, what time the tide, if we were ebbing or flowing, going in or going out or whatever. It was on the beach. The beach is called Sandbridge, which is the southernmost beach in Virginia. It's almost it's where the Outer Banks of North Carolina start. Kind of little bit of a windy day, but I'm looking, surf's kind of rough, but I'm like, all right, I got about 7 or 8 meters off the surf, drove the stake in, put the antenna up, and I was using the little True SDX, that little 5. I was going to do a QRP thing there. So I set everything down. I set it on a little bucket beside me or whatever. And out of nowhere, almost like a tsunami, this rogue wave just came. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, and it just came. And I was knee deep. The antenna was underwater. The end at the bottom, the Fallon, I think I lifted the coax up or something to had it up from getting wet. The USDX slipped and fell. The little True one in the box, it floated, and I grabbed it and took it up. I just unplugged everything. I took it home and threw it in a bag of rice. The next day, brought it out, worked perfectly. But yeah. So lesson learned there was the tide was coming in on me, and I should have known better. I did a similar thing like that recently in Rhode Island where I didn't check the tide, and once again it came right in on me. So that's kind of one of the things that's happened. I've had some other experiences. I've been out on the beach with an antenna in the air, sitting in my lawn chair, operating or whatever, and someone's come up to me, a woman did once, and goes, "Excuse me, are you talking to the whales?" And I'm like, excuse me? It didn't register. Are you talking to the whales? Are you listening to the whales? I said, oh. She goes, are you a scientist? I go, oh, no. I'm a ham radio operator. And it opened us up to have a decent conversation and tell what I was doing. That was one. One of them, as a matter of fact, right down the end of my block here, there's a old unit that it's been converted into an HOA, and I was like near them, and the woman came out, true HOA president fashion, and started screaming at me and telling me I needed to get away. I couldn't operate, in their yard or whatever. I went to City Hall and got the property line, and I was not on their property, so I kind of, fix that situation. But yeah, those are some of, if you operate portable a lot outside, there's a lot of stories to tell.
A lot of stories to tell always. Yeah. So it's a great book. It's got the illustrations, it's got the photos. You can easily figure out how to build stuff. Tom and I are very, very impressed with it. We're going to promote it. We'll put a link down below. If you want to get one on Amazon, we'll also put a link down to the league, the ARRL, that's selling it, so you can get it there as well. And there is a discount, I think, if you're an ARRL member, if you do it that way as well. So think about that. Thanks very much, Walt. We're also thrilled with your YouTube channel. That's what first turned us on to you. And so we thought it would be fun just to show your channel here, Coastal Waves and Wires. Go to Coastal Waves and Wires, and you can see all these videos on there, not just about portable HF antennas, but all kinds of stuff about antennas that's really helpful. And you have a gift, and it's really a gift, Walt, to be able to explain this stuff simply for newer hams too. Like somebody who just comes in, they're a new ham and they want to get out and they want to do some POTA or something. And you're just great. So you're wonderful for the hobby, and we're so grateful. Tom and I hope that you'll be in Florida sometime. We're down there in the winter, and we'll go out to the beach together, and we'll get an antenna up and work some good DX. And at the same time, we'll throw a hook out there and see if we can catch a meal. What do you think about that, Walt?
I'm all about it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Maybe catch us a sheephead out there in the Gulf, and clean her up and throw her on the grill. I like that.
Hey, all right, Walt, what if you built an antenna based on an aluminum lawn chair? Would that work as a ground plane? Asking for a friend.
I bet you if you set that lawn chair in the salt water and sat in it while you were operating, it probably would. It's funny you say that, though. My home base, I'm on the 3rd floor. My condo's the 3rd floor, and I have a fire escape. It's the top floor of my house. The fire escape is all metal, and I have a vertical there, and I use the fire escape as my counter. That's how I do it.
Good talking to you, Walt.
Good talking to you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate it. As I said, you're a blessing to the hobby, and we appreciate you. Everybody go out, get Walt's book, It's more than worth it. It's a winner. We give it a 10 out of 10. And for Tom and me, these old curmudgeons, cranky guys, that doesn't come too often. I'm Quinn, K8QS.
And I'm Tom, W89TDD.
And here we have Ham Radio Perspectives with Walt. See y'all later.